Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I just wanted to talk about the Path of Exile 2 launch because I honestly just can't believe the devs actually managed to make it work. This game had over 1 million people watching it on Twitch when it first launched. And right now, the servers just on Steam are holding like 500,000 active players. Because remember, there's a standalone client and it launched on console at the same time. There is definitely over 1 million active players on this game, and I don't think any other company could have pulled this off. We've seen so many fail miserably at this, and even though the servers were completely bricked, basically, when the game first launched, you have to think how many of us were DDoSing the servers just by spamming login, just trying to get in. Everybody tried to get in at the exact same time and blew it up. But it only took them a couple of hours to completely lock it in. And the most impressive part about the entire thing to me was just keeping us updated on what was happening. The whole Twitter thread, we bring it up, is just over and over again. It's just like last minute database upgrade. We're working on deploying new database. Like they kept going over and over again and just trying to reassure people. And it finally got down to the point where it's just like, yeah, like we promise it'll be soon. But again, it only took like 2.5, maybe 3 hours total for it to be basically perfect. There hasn't been a single game in like 10 years that has managed to pull off such a clean launch. Like their servers are usually dog shit. They just never fix them. It's always something. The devs gaslight. There's always something wrong that they never fix. But Poe didn't manage to just fix the servers. They did it fast, and it was like again, it was just a couple hours. But like they're not just fixed. Anytime you DC or crash, you log back right into like the same spot that you were kicked out at. And I didn't have to wait. I was playing on like prime time, like 7, 8 p.m. EST, and I got back in right away, no problem. Like instantly, no queue. The overall thought that it feels like went into everything just feels unmatched. I know I'm like glazing super hard here, but Triple G has stacked up so much goodwill over the last 10 years that this just locked it in even more for me. The way they handled this launch is basically perfect, and in my opinion, has become the new standard for how a game should launch. Any game with a massive player base should launch like this. They should be prepared for this. I honestly do wonder how the Blizzard devs feel after obliterating the Diablo franchise to the point that honestly they're openly jealous about it on Twitter. It's pretty hilarious. I mean, you just look at the difference between the two companies and it's a night and day from the people who respect games and the people who play them, and not just respecting them, but like people who want to make fun games versus the people that just want to make money off of us, right? Like in Diablo, every enemy is just a reskin. You fight the same boss 1 million times after you finish the first act. And in PoE 2, every boss is unique. It has insane levels of detail. It's super well voice acted, and it just builds the world up every time you kill a new one. I basically only done up to Act 3 as of this video, and I'm going to be pushing into Cruel a little bit later when I go stream, but with how much effort was put into just the story mode bosses, it has me really excited for what I'm going to see when I hit the end game. Just the teasers for some of the bosses looked like like amazing. Like the finger guy was just creepy, but like I want to go fight him now. I want to see what everything can do. I'm just amped to get into everything, right? I know it's a new game, but we glazing hard. The last like 6 new games I just flamed out on because they were terrible. This isn't the case here. Triple G locked in the spot for me to be as trusted as FromSoft with a game drop. By God, I hope they get bought out by Sony. That would be so dog shit. But after seeing what they did with PA2, I know that like whatever they drop in the future, like whatever new classes come out during early access up to the launch of PO2, I know that it's going to be the peak experience. Just seeing the way the devs interact with the player base makes me feel reassured that if there is any massive problems, any like true issues, that they will try to get them solved. And not in some crazy time frame like Diablo's like, oh, see you guys in 6 months to a year. It seems like they'll get them fixed fairly quickly. And also, one thing I've been seeing a lot is that Elden Ring inspired the role of these games. Guys, Lost Ark is still a game, even though it has dog shit monetization. It's still there. Lost Ark revolutionized the way RPGs play, absolutely, and that is the game that I fell in love with when it came out. Nothing for me has ever been able to match that experience I had build crafting and figuring out the systems and characters when Lost Ark launched in Korea. I mean, back then the servers got obliterated too because like all the Chinese people were trying to log in, all the NA people, we all tried to log in, but the overall feeling of the characters in Lost Ark was just so fluid and clean, and the animations were just like perfect, basically. every single class of Lost Ark has the perfect class fantasy. I don't think anybody can really argue with that. The rest of the game sucks, but it is what it is. And after playing PoE 2, every single skill that I use looks amazing. It has given me that same feeling, the same class fantasy that I did not think that I was going to get again. And I honestly had like kind of given up the feeling of playing a like amazingly cool sorcerer where I was going to be able to pick the most of my skills, or like a cool berserker. I never thought I was going to get that again after I quit Lost Ark. So having the same feeling when I get into this is amazing. And like the world too, like they were not afraid to go into like the darkest, like the depths with this game. Like they went all out. Like you when you get to Act 2 on the ship, you'll know what I mean, dude. It's crazy. It's really reassuring and it's refreshing to see a company like not be scared to just go all out. All the different combination of skills, spells, like they really add to it too. Like it's not like the skills don't match the environment. Like the first time I cast Sparks through the Firewall, it just felt cool. And as I'm learning about all these things that interact with each other and all these combos that go off with each other, it just feels really good to use everything. And an even better part for me is that there's no builds, no guides, no nonsense. Everyone is just going in blind and figuring it out. And this is how it should be. I hate games that do like tons of betas and early access copies, and you just see like so many creators. The game is ruined before it even comes out. But most of the creators for this game respected the integrity of that, and they didn't even bother with it. That sense of discovery and finding out what's cool and broken with all the different crazy interactions is what it's all about. The only issue with the system that I have right now is the way that support gems are locked to like one per skill, and some skills I would really like to use are like later on in the game, is what it is. That's okay. Like the skills, like the better skills being later. But for instance, like I'll just use a random example, like not being able to use like two multi shots for two different skills does seem a little bit weird, and I'm assuming they will change that because everything else has so much player agency to it. And one reason that I thought of why they did that was maybe so that new people that would be coming into the game, because they definitely knew there was going to be a lot of new people coming in and playing for the first time. They probably didn't want them to have like a bunch of the same skills, so that way they forced like a bunch of different build diversity. But let me know what you guys think about that. I'm not too sure. I really like with it when you get an uncut gem, you can just pick whatever you want and activate the different things as you need them or as you want them or as you want to try them. Like it feels good. And it's been a while since we've had that player agency. One thing to say though, I saw a lot of people complaining about the Act 1 boss was too hard. I think it's if that's the case, it's time to make your build up or go farm, because you're in for a pretty brutal surprise after you after you get to Jamal. You'll know if you know, and it's only going to get worse from there. Like building nearly full glass on a brand new game is never a good idea for launch state of the game, especially if you're melee. Unless you're like super practiced, you never want to build full glass. It's honestly okay for a fight to take a few extra minutes if you are unkillable. Like I built my character fairly tanky because I just wanted to just W key everything, right? You're not competing with anybody but yourself. So I personally really hope they don't tune the difficulty down just yet, because at this stage of the game, everyone is still learning what is the best and how to use their skills. And more importantly, a lot of people are just learning how to play their character and how to use their character. So if they make things easier now, then when everyone has the game figured out, it's going to be so easy that it'll be laughable. And like that doesn't sound good to me at all. So I hope they stick somewhat with what the HP the bosses have now. The damage does feel fine sometimes. I think some characters are getting like obliterated by it, so they probably do need to like tweak certain things. But I do think that one problem I have had with a couple of the bosses is that early on, like some skills can be hard to see. It's like red on red type thing in some rooms, but after you die a few times, if you're trying to figure the fight out, you can usually just brute force it down. Now, one thing to say is that I've been glazing the game really hard here, and the devs, right? I almost never do that, but that's mostly because of how they handled the launch and the game itself. I just want to make it very clear, because there's already division on this too for some people. It's okay to bring up concerns and problems that you have with the game. It's good to have constructive criticisms so that the game can be healthier long term. There's going to be people that say, no, you're not allowed to complain. It's early access. This is the time to complain. I won't ignore bad systems or broken mechanics that make the game feel bad to play. Tons of games died to people gaslighting the devs into thinking everything's perfect. Because this is early access, it is the opportunity to try and push positive change for the game after we fully understand it. Constructive criticism does not mean that you hate the game or that you're shitting on it or that you think it's garbage. Constructive criticism is to help the long-term health of the game, and that is the most important thing at this stage of the game, is that you go into things with an open mind, but not like, oh, everything's perfect, because not everything's perfect. There are clear hang-ups, right? And as we play more and fully understand them, that's when we'll start bringing it up. And you have to also remember There is a graveyard of games that made this possible. It really feels like every other ARPG failing or just doing something so wrong or having such terrible communication from disconnected devs that like all of those showed Triple G what not to do. And they took that experience after seeing those games fail with a combination of that crazy amount of experience from deving PoE1. They're all stacked up into this moment in this game, and I'm honestly just excited for the future of a game for the first time in a really long time. So let me know how you guys are feeling about launch so far. I made it pretty clear that I'm simping for this game because of what it's managed to pull off so far, but that's to be all for now, and I wish you guys the best luck out there.